Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. Today we are here to pick our bracket. If you watched my video from last night, then you already have a pretty good idea, kind of in 15 minutes. But that video is actually recorded and posted as Selection Sunday was happening, as the selection show was happening. So now we have every matchup. We can dive into it. I've had about 18 hours now. Of course, I slept for about 10 of them because we're on spring break. But had about 18 hours to dive into some of these matchups, and a lot of them already had a good idea because I am a college basketball sicko. I went through and watched every single conference tournament championship game and probably bet on it as well. So today we're going to be looking at our March Madness bracket. We're going to go ahead and get started here in the East region with Duke. Duke's a really solid team. We talked about them yesterday. I think they're one of the 3 teams that can win this national championship. But they got a tough region. I mean, we've got Kansas, St. John's, Michigan State, UCLA, and UConn in the same region. That's not to mention Ohio State. That's not to mention Cal Baptist, who I love personally. TCU's been playing really well. There's also UCLA here, or I said that, but UCF here, I should say. Furman. If Furman was matched up with, like a 14 seed, I would love to take them. I don't think they can beat UConn, but I am going to take them to cover the spread in that game. Spoiler alert. And then probably the second closest spread here between Louisville and South Florida for a 6-11 seed or an upset. We're considering upsets anything that are 3 seeds or higher in difference. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it. And I would love to pick TCU here, but I'm going to have to go with Ohio State. When you look at Ohio State, they've got 2 really good guards in Mobley and, of course, Bruce Thornton, their all-time leading scorer, who is an absolute monster. Plus, they have a true 7-footer. And a lot of times when you have that positional height, that's why I'm going to take that team. That's why I'm taking Ohio State here. It all comes down to guard play. Brock Harding's a dog for TCU, but I am going to go Ohio State here to face Duke. And this, I've seen some people take this upset here. I'm not going to bet against Duke because when you look at their roster and you look at their positional height, which is something Shire absolutely loves to talk about and recruit. I mean, they got Boozer and Ngongba in the front court, Isaiah Evans at 6'6", kind of at that 2-3 spot. Foster could be back for the Final Four, and that could be a big loss because he's a good 3-point shooter. He is their point of attack defender, but Caden Boozer played really well in the ACC championship and the semifinal as well. Dame Sarr completely erases the other team's point guard. This Duke team is really good. I'm thinking this Dame Sarr versus Bruce Thornton matchup is going to be a lot of fun in the second round. And if you look at Duke, this is a team that is peaking at the right time. They've had 1 loss in the last 2 months, and they've had 1 win heading into the ACC tournament that wasn't by more than 10 to 15 points, and that was against Michigan on a neutral court, right? They should have won this Carolina game too. Complete sell job. And then Florida State, they beat them by a point. That was Caden Boozer's first game. They were playing without Ngongba as well, or his first game starting, I should say. So, and that Florida State team could have made it to the tournament. That was a team that was playing really well over the second half of the season. They beat Clemson, and then the win versus Virginia, having Ngongba in that game would have changed everything. So ultimately, I am going to take Duke to beat Ohio State. And then for Duke, if you look at the rest of this region, Ohio State could be their toughest game. Because yes, UConn has a great coach in Dan Hurley. They have not been great this year. We're going to go ahead and take them to beat Furman. But I see a potential upset looming here in the second round, and that is going to be for the UCLA Bruins. You can talk about Mick Cronin all you want. He's kind of annoying in his post-game press conferences. Him versus Will Wade. I mean, that's 2 of the best post-game pressers you're going to see. And this UCLA team has been up and down. They did lose to Purdue, but beat Michigan State and Rutgers in the tournament here. Just came off a 20-point dub versus Nebraska. Lost to Minnesota, though. That's confusing. And for UCLA, this is one of those teams with the new conference realignment. They're going to be a weird team coming into March because they've got to fly all the way across the country and stay there for a majority of the year and play at teams like Michigan State, like Michigan, some of the best teams in the country, and you've got to fly across the country. It's a huge disadvantage. We saw this here when they had to fly to Michigan and got trounced twice, but they do have some good wins throughout this season, like Purdue, like Illinois, and Donovan Dent's playing really good basketball. As of late, you've also got Trent Perry, who played well when Denton went out. You have Sky Clark, who's that number 2 guy. I mean, you got 3 guys averaging 12 or more points per game. That is a recipe for success, or 11 or more, I should say. You don't quite round that one up. You also have a big with Xavier Booker, who he's very mobile. He can guard on the perimeter. You can't really expose him with him and positional size. I mean, Dent 6'2", Sky Clark 6'3". Other than that, they got a lot of positional size. Bilodeau, he's a chess piece. You can do a lot of stuff with him. That's why I'm taking them to, one, beat UCF, who comes limping into this tournament, but also to beat UConn, who, not limping into this tournament, but the Big East has been bad this year, and they've been in a ton of close games with those Big East teams. Give me UCLA in the first big upset here of this first round. North Dakota State beat North Dakota in the Summit. I believe that's what the league is called, but they're not beating Michigan State. Michigan State was the team that, I put on upset alert yesterday as a 2 seed. Not a good 2 seed, but they drew a good matchup here against North Dakota State in round 1. Not really troublesome. We're going to skip this game for now. We'll be back to it. This is interesting. UNI, they lost 6 conference games, or they came in 6th in their conference. I don't know how they're really a 12 seed. I thought there were some seeds. I think they messed up some of these mid-major seedings, but whatever. St. John's, they were, 13th in the AP poll, and they're a 5 seed? They're pretty underseeded, I'd say. I would have put them as high as a 3, maybe a 4. 4 was probably reasonable, but a 5 seems a little bit low. They are the best 5 seed, but it seems a little bit low. This is a game, man, I really wanted to take Cal Baptist, because I was up at 2:15 the other night watching them take down Utah Valley, and they've played some higher comp. Like, they played Utah to a 6-point game at Utah. Utah, of course, is terrible. They played BYU at the Jazz Stadium and got killed, or arena, I should say. They also played Colorado at Colorado, only lost by 8. So I think the spread on this game is like 14.5. I think they'll cover. Dominique Daniels, if he was like 6'2", then he's going to be a March darling, but 23 a game, not the most efficient guy in the world, and he's going to be having to go up against, well, first, they have some hot size. 7 foot, 6'10", 6'11". The positional size, though, at the guard spot, talking about 6'5", starting at the 3. Kansas's point guard, 6'5", so that's not good. And I was really hoping they'd draw like a Nebraska, maybe, a team that doesn't have great positional size. But they don't. Trey White, 6'7", Melvin Council, 6'4", Peterson, 6'5", Flory, 6'9", Bryson Tiller, 6'10". Flory's got to be taller than 6. That's got to be a little bit wrong, right? Anyways, Kansas, I don't think loses this first round game to Cal Baptist. Unfortunately, I did take Cal Baptist at first, but I'm going to go with Kansas here. And then this brings me to this Louisville, South Florida game. We don't know if Mikel Brown will be playing, the 6'5" freshman that's going to be a top 10 pick. So that's questionable. They are like 7-5 without him this year. Not good. This stretch right here was when he was out. Another thing is they really rely on that 3 ball, right? They make the 6th most threes in the country, and they take the 8th most. Yet they only shoot about 37% from 3, which is barely top 100. And that concerns me. They like to score. I call them the Alabama of the ACC because they like to score and play not a lot of defense. And they're dangerous, right? When they played my NC State Wolfpack, they scored like 120 points. It was ridiculous. We don't play much defense, but still, it was ridiculous. But when they play a team that can guard you, and they do like to run a lot of their offense through Frew and through, where's he at? Ali Khalifa, out on the perimeter, and use their guards through the passing big. That's how they run their offense. Now, they're going to draw a really tough matchup here. The spread on this game, I think, is 5.5 right now. Yeah, line right now is 5.5. Plus 175 for South Florida to win. So Vegas thinks this one's going to be a pretty close game. And with South Florida, they got Isaiah Nelson, right? About 16 and 10 a game. He's a monster at 16. He can also get out on the perimeter. He's very mobile. He can pressure, where they're trying to run their offense through. Same thing with Damian Collins here at 6'8". And then positional size, a couple of 6'5s and a couple of 6'2s, as well as Isaiah Jones, who gives you, you can go big with Jones or Damian Collins, former top 12 recruit. That's crazy. Joseph Pinion here, former Arkansas Razorback. And they played a team that is a lot like Louisville, and that is Alabama. That is literally my player or my team comparison for Louisville. They are the Alabama of the ACC, and South Florida went to Alabama and lost by a total of 11 points. That is not a lot. This is a South Florida team. They love to score. 8th in the country in points per game. They also get to the foul line a lot, and they create a lot of turnovers and force havoc, but they don't rely on the 3 ball. Unlike Louisville, yes, they take a bunch of threes, and they're not great at it, but they also get to the rim and score. They score in transition. Louisville is a team that will turn it over because they like to play fast, and without Mikel Brown Jr. or even with him playing injured, yeah, this is a game where I think this could be an upset. What we saw Carolina do to this Louisville team, and yes, they do have a good win. They just went to Miami and won, but what we saw North Carolina do to them, what we saw Clemson do to them, yes, granted, 2 games on the road. I think Mikel Brown Jr. played in both of these games, though, is they make the post beat them, right? So when you've got Fru or you've got Khalifa in the middle of the floor, they're going to make them beat you. They're going to shut off all the guards, all the DHOs, all the actions that you try to do. They just completely turn those valves off. The offense dries up, it stagnates, you take contested threes. That's the formula for beating this Louisville team. We saw Duke do it to them. We saw Clemson and UNC do it to them. More recently, we also saw Arkansas do it to them. When you play a team that's, as athletic or more athletic than you, can also really score it, that's where you run into problems. That's why this is going to be my first upset here with South Florida. They got the length, the athleticism to do it. I'm going to take it over Louisville. Back-to-back early exits for Pat Kelsey and company, and I will continue to stand by it. If you are trying to score a lot of points come March, you better have some defense to back it up, and the Cardinals do not. Coming back down here for a second, I feel like I didn't really explain myself very well, but I am going with UCLA here because UConn, they really struggle to score one. Like we talked about earlier, like I said briefly, a lot of times they don't cover the spread. That's the thing. Great teams cover. That's a real thing. If you can cover the spread, that's how you know you've got a great squad. It's not just for gambling addicts, right? But I think UCLA with Bilodeau, with Donovan Dent, they've been playing very well lately. UConn's lost 2 straight games, I think, coming into this, or 2 out of the last 4, including a loss at Marquette. They've also lost to Creighton within the last month. I mean, this was a beatdown. This was a masterclass. This is what scares me, but it took St. John's not scoring for 17 minutes. Yes, they had a lot to do with that, but in a weak Big East, I'm going to have to go out and get UCLA to win this one here. Could be a mistake, but I feel bad taking chalk, and this is the first one, the first domino to fall. Then we have Michigan State versus South Florida. Louisville turns the ball over a lot, right? Or not a lot, but they turn it over a decent amount because they like to play fast. That's just a product of playing fast. That's how the game works. Michigan State doesn't turn it over much. And you're also playing Tom Izzo in March. That's not a fun thing to see. That is not a good sight to see. He's got his 2 bigs with Cooper and Kohler. Jeremy Fears is running that point guard spot. They can't shoot a lot, but South Florida can't really shoot either. Yes, South Florida could definitely outscore them, but with so much of South Florida's points coming off of points generated from turnovers, I'm sticking with Michigan State and their guard play here. Jeremy Fears, as dirty as he is, he's a great guard. He's an Izzo guard. I'm going with Izzo in Michigan State, but this is where they run in. This is my Cinderella pick here is UCLA. As soon as I saw the Donovan Dent and Tyler Bilodeau, we're good to go. Give me UCLA to the Elite 8. They just beat Michigan State. This one shouldn't have too much explaining. Yes, Izzo's going to come back with a good game plan, but UCLA over Michigan State, I mean, with Xavier Booker and Tyler Bilodeau, you can outplay their bigs up front in Cooper and Kohler, and that's their strength. Yes, they have Fears, but you have Donovan Dent as well as Sky Clark. This UCLA team, we talked about it. They got 5 guys averaging 11 or more, plus some depth coming off that bench. Give me UCLA to the Elite 8. Mick Cronin's done it before. As much as people hate him, he's done it before. Then we've got St. John's in Kansas. This is, Bill Self versus Slick Rick. I'm going to take Rick Pitino and company, and the reason is Kansas is not deep, 1, and 2, they've kind of been fraudulent away from Allen Fieldhouse all year long. So give me St. John's here. St. John's has great athleticism, and they like to bully you on the boards as well as going deep. I think they're going to wear this Kansas team out because St. John's plays 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9 if he wants to put lefty in. Kansas plays 5. The main 5, and then they got like 2 guys coming off the bench. I think they're going to wear them down throughout the course of the game. And also, it's not like Kansas is scoring a ton of points, right? St. John's can score as well. Give me St. John's to win this one against Kansas. Rick Pitino gets back to the Sweet 16, where unfortunately he now has to play a team that can really shoot it and is going to outscore him in Duke and John Shire. I don't feel like this one is too crazy. I mean, you got Ngongba, you got Boozer. It's strength on strength for St. John's, and that's not good because Duke's strength is better. Plus, their guard play is as good if you add in Slim to that debate. And then finally getting out of the South region, or East region, excuse me. This is going to be a long video. But we're going to go Duke and UCLA, and this is where UCLA's Cinderella run ends. Duke's good. John Shire, I think, is the best coach in college basketball right now, and he's got him a squad. He's got the National Player of the Year again in Cam Boozer. We don't know if Foster will be back, but Ngongba should be back for this tournament. Unless I hear otherwise, then that could shake some things up. And then you could be looking at Ohio State beating them, and this whole thing blows up in your face. But I'm going to be taking Duke here over UCLA. This is where their run comes to an end because Duke has that versatility to be able to switch out that Michigan State and UConn don't. With Bilodeau, cover him up, and then you can also cover up Donovan Dent. Duke has that guy in Dame Sarr that can shut off an entire team's offense. Plus, they've got length everywhere else. Dent and Sky Clark, that's 6'2" and 6'3". Talking about 6'7", maybe 6'8". I saw Dame Sarr playing up front in person against Quadir Copeland, who is a 6'6". He's a big guard. Dame was looking down at him. He can shut off an entire offense. That's a big reason I've got Duke going this far. All right, let's slide over to the West region. If you're still with us, you're the GOAT. If you make it through the full video, that's crazy. It's probably going to be close to an hour long because I love to yap about this. But we're going Arizona. Fins up or going down. Sorry, Long Island. Thanks for showing up. Villanova versus Utah State. I mean, this is the battle of mid. Both teams are coming in, not really on a hot streak coming into this tournament by any means. We've seen the Mountain West be absolutely horrific over the last 10 years in the tournament, if your name is not San Diego State. And then Villanova, Kevin Willard and company, they don't look great either. I am going to lean Villanova here. You know what? I lied. We're going Utah State. They're favored by 2.5. Villanova comes in here 3-3 over their last 3 games. And I'm going with not only the best player in this game, which is MJ Collins, who averages about 17.5 a game. Legitimate NBA prospect at 6'4", and he shoots at 37% from 3 on 6.5 attempts. They also have Mason Falls-Up, who's been in like the last 10 NCAA tournaments, it feels like, with Utah State. Carson Templin's here as well. They got a couple other guys being 6'7", 6'9", coming off that bench with Drake Allen and Kobe King, who I believe started. I haven't watched too much Utah State. I've watched 4 or 5 games. I did watch them get destroyed here by San Diego State. They also lost to Nevada down the stretch, and they lost to UNLV and Josh Pastner. But they came back, beat UNLV by 20, beat Nevada by 13, and beat San Diego State by 11, dominating the Mountain West Conference tournament and proving that they are the best team in this conference and showing that these games were mistakes. They came back and beat them. It looked like they peaked early until you saw the conference tournament. So yeah, give me Utah State. I'm taking them over Villanova. Again, I'd take TCU or Ohio State over either of these teams. Actually, TCU Ohio State's really the only 8-9 game that looks good. Anyways, sorry if I offended all those fan bases. Now we've got Wisconsin and High Point. And High Point, I mean, honestly, I'm just very upset with the selection committee because coming into the tournament, these 3 guys right here plus Duke, that was my final 4. And now only one of them's making it to the Elite 8. Like, are we serious? Nonetheless, will be some very exciting action in the second round here. High Point, 6'6", 6'8", 6'6", and then 5'10". That's the question mark here with Rob Martin, especially because he's their guy that makes it all go. They love to get out in transition and run. The problem is they don't really have anybody that's tall. And if you've ever played a basketball game, that is an issue. 6'8"? We're talking about 6'8" going up against Wisconsin and their massive front line with Winter, Rapp. They got also Alexis Billet. I forgot how to say his name, I'm not going to lie. Anyways, they got 3 guys at 6'10" in the front court. Getting Nolan Winter back is huge because Gorlock down here Garlock won't have to play. But Nolan Winter, 6'11", stretch 5, averaging 13 and 9 a game. He also shoots about 33% from 3. Austin Rapp has been sniping as of late. He's been unreal. Braden Carrington also shoots 40% from 3. Blackwell shoots 38. I mean, this is a team that High Point's whole thing coming in was we want to catch a seed that is good, but they can't score a lot of points. maybe a Michigan State, if you look through here, maybe a St. John's, maybe a Gonzaga. We could be talking about Tennessee. We could be talking about an upset here, UNC. Not Wisconsin, because Wisconsin can score with anybody in the country, and they can beat anybody in the country, proven by their win at Purdue, further proven by their win versus Illinois in the Big Ten tournament, further proven. Now, they can also lose to anybody. Lost to Ohio State, lost to Oregon, but further proven by the fact that they beat Michigan State by 21 points at home, a win at Illinois, and then a loss to Indiana. I mean, this is the most confusing team in the league, or in the country, but, I mean, they've also got some of the craziest wins. Where is it? There it is. They went to Michigan and won in the middle of Michigan's reign, but they got the best guards in the country, the best 1-2 punch at guard in the country with Nick Boyd, John Blackwell. This is really tough. And looking at the spread, or the first round game is not tough. The second round game is tough because Arkansas, the spread's 9.5. Give me Wisconsin all day long. This is going to be a shootout, but it's not going to be good for High Point. You also got here Arkansas and Hawaii. I kind of liked Hawaii coming in, not going to lie. They have a 7-footer. They run a lot of things through. Darius Acuff might be the best Calipari guard of all time. And that is saying something because there's like 4 MVPs that Calipari, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. But there is a ton of dudes that Cal has coached in college. I'm not even going to look at it. I watched Hawaii play the other night. They're good. They're not going to beat Arkansas. This might be the game of the tournament. Words can't describe how I'm feeling towards the selection committee right now. For giving us this in the round of 32. This should have been a Final Four matchup. BYU versus the winner of my Wolfpack and Texas. We'll go BYU. If State wins, I really think they could make a run. I think that we match up well with BYU. Because here's the thing about State. I've watched every single game we've played this year. And if we play a 7-footer, we're cooked. We're also limping in to March Madness. Good Lord. Lost to Miami. That should have been a win. We were up by 7 with 30 seconds left, believe it or not. Beat Carolina. That was our Super Bowl. Then we lost to Virginia by 30. They have 2 7-footers, one of which just set the ACC tournament record for blocks. Somehow lost to Notre Dame. Lost to Duke with 7-footers. Lost to Stanford with Abuka Okore. Shouldn't have been a loss either. I mean, we were just losing bad games. It looked like the team was checked out down the stretch. Then we played Pittsburgh. We beat Pittsburgh, scored 100. And then we played maybe our best game of the year in a loss to Virginia. And this is a team, wow, I did not realize Paul was our leading scorer. But talk about a guy that can shoot the cover off the basketball. Paul McNeil, 43% from 3, 7 attempts a game. Quadir Copeland is the engine for this team, 14 a night with 6.5 assists. Vin Allen Lubin has been solid down low. And here's the thing about BYU. This is why I like BYU as a matchup for us versus if we were a 11 or a 10 seed trying to play Kentucky or UCLA or one of those teams. And this is what I was trying to explain to all my buddies at school. We got 6'6", 6'5", 6'6", don't get me started on this guy. 6'6", Matt Abel, 6'5", Terrence Arsenault, who is a ridiculous athlete. Trey Holloman at 6'2". If we need some fouls, we can throw in Scotty Abube. But the reason I like us against BYU versus, a Kentucky, and Texas is going to be tough, but if there's only one 7-footer like the SMU game, we can beat that. Quadir can get down low and score. They don't have a true 7-footer. Boscovich, yeah, he's 6'6", he's 6'10", but he only plays 12 minutes a game. Right? They got Devanza, 6'9", but Rob Wright, 6'1". They don't have Richie Sanders. They got Davis. Kobe Cade is 6'7". That's a great matchup for Vin Allen Lubin. They got the best player in the country, but I think we have a chance. I think we can outscore them. And look at this. I mean, they started out the year, 15-1? And ended the year 6-10. With some rough losses in here, including losing to Cincinnati at home by 22, losing at West Virginia, losing to UCF by 13. The Arizona loss, that's fine. Arizona's the best team in the country. Losing to Oklahoma State, Kansas, Arizona again, Texas Tech with JT Toppin. Reasonable, but I do think, and actually I'm going to change this. You know what? I'm going to change it. Give me State. If it's Texas, give me BYU. If it's State, give me State, because there's always a team that makes a run out of the first 4. Give me State. I've just talked myself into it making this video. Gonzaga over Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State's good. we'll come back to this because it's going to be more of the same. Yeah, maybe it's a little biased, but I really think it can happen. It's the team that I know the most about. Miami, Missouri. Now, this is an interesting one because it's in St. Louis. So Missouri is going to have that home crowd. It's going to be a home game. But Jay Lucas is a heck of a coach. We'll start with that. Yeah, they got blown out by Virginia. There's some things they can take from that game to move forward. Virginia also has Onyensu playing out of his mind right now, which kind of shut down Uday and Malik Renew and Shelton Henderson. That's what the best shot blocker in the country does. It shuts down an offense that is built on attacking the rim. They lost to Louisville here in a shootout. So if you're going to get in a shootout, they could probably get outshot. But I don't think that's what Missouri's going to do here. Lost to Virginia here as well. That's the common theme. If you've got a rim protector against them, then they might be cooked. But they've got some really good wins. I mean, this has been a really good season for Miami, and they've got two good guards with Trey Donaldson and True Henderson. Uday down low, Shelton Henderson, elite freshman. Missouri is just not doing it for me. I mean, like, look at their, they went undefeated in November. Look at the rest of their season. They went 12-12 from December through March, including not winning a game in March. Don't give me none of this, the SEC is good. The SEC is not that good. It's solid depth-wise, but, I mean, the top of the SEC is Florida. Arkansas is good. Vandy's good. Other than that, I mean, it seems like a lot of mid. Mark Mitchell, they do have Sean Phillips, 7 foot, but we just talked about it. The way to beat Miami is to shut down the paint, shut down the rim. They got Sean Phillips, Trent Pierce. I don't think that's going to be doing it. Wait, I don't even think Pierce is playing. We saw Arkansas last day of the season, and I was upset because I bet on Missouri this game at home against Arkansas on senior night. And Arkansas came in without Acuff, who was their engine, and beat them because they were bigger. So give me Miami in this one. Hopefully these explanations are not too long for you guys. The spread on that game is... it's the last game of the first round. But the spread's 1.5. I'm taking Miami there. Now we move on. Purdue's going to beat Queens. Chris Ashby. Shout out to Chris Ashby Lover on Instagram. Pretty cool account. But we're going to go Purdue here. Queens is cool. Did watch them in their conference tournament. Shout out Charlotte. Shout out the Charlotte Hornets. But we're going with Purdue. Second round, Purdue-Miami is an interesting one. But I think for Miami, we just talked about it. Their whole team is built on getting to the rim, scoring in the paint, and now they've got to play against Clough. Jacobson, I think is his name, the 7'3" guy or whatever that Purdue always has, and TKR. I don't think it's going to happen. Also, I'm riding with Braden Smith this time of the year. I'm sorry to Trey Donaldson and True Washington. I'm riding with Braden Smith. Fletcher Lawyer's been shooting a good ball. They've been shooting it really well, and they just beat Michigan in the Big Ten championship. Purdue was one of my teams that I had kind of on upset watch, but this is the first time maybe ever I've actually liked Purdue coming into the tournament. And then here, you know what? We're doing it again. We're going again. I think in like every tournament over the last, I don't know how long it is, but it is very common for a team from the play-in this case, North Carolina State University, to go out and go from the first four in to winning it all. And in this case, we're playing Gonzaga, who, mind you, wouldn't have played in 2 weeks. We have played 4 games since the last time they played. So rust comes into it. Yeah, rest, but you really only need a day rest if you're playing a 40-minute basketball game. Let's be real. These guys are athletes in tip-top condition. I'm taking NC State to win this one. Call me crazy. I think we outscore them. Gonzaga, and yes, on paper, it looks like we're coming limping into this tournament, but these are 2 of the better offensive games we've played all year in Pittsburgh and Virginia. And this is going to sound so biased, but looking at Gonzaga here, for starters, when was Gonzaga ever legit in the tournament? I'll give you 2017. Other than that, Braden Huff could make it back for the Sweet 16, but I don't think that they're going to make it. EK at 6'9", again, good matchup for Van Lubin. Yeah, he's a good rim protector. He's a solid rim protector in the Mountain West. But I think Quadir can break him. Who's guarding Quadir Copeland? Right? If you look at this team, maybe Fogel, but Fogel comes off the bench. Is it going to be Saint-Supri? Maybe. Adam Miller? Maybe. But both of those guys are mismatches. I know it's not going to be Braden Smith. So I think this is a state team that could go out. And let's be real. I was talking about it. If we played UCLA, if we played St. Mary's, if we played Kentucky, any of the 7 seeds, obviously we're not going to play Miami because they're in the ACC. If we would have drawn a 10 and had to play any of these 7 seeds, we're first round exits. There is a legit chance we go to the Sweet 16. One, because history's on our side with a first 4 team going to at least the second weekend. And 2, Gonzaga they're good, but they are not that good, especially without Braden Huff. Now, if they had 6'10 and 6'9 in the front court, I'd be worried. But we match up with this Gonzaga team really well, height-wise, and we can score it on. Now, yes, they average 85 points a game. That's kind of inflated because they play in the West Coast Conference, as it is every year. I'm just saying there's a chance that this could happen. I don't know what the hypothetical spread would be on this game, but maybe it's too biased. Maybe you've already clicked off. Maybe you've disliked, especially Carolina fans. But, all right, I'll give you an end to it here. Purdue, the whole thing, this whole tournament run has been built on the fact that State doesn't have to play a rim protector. Now they're playing Clough. Now they're playing TKR. It could be closer than you think because we can try and get Clough onto the perimeter, which is how Purdue has lost to UCLA. That's how Purdue has lost to Wisconsin, is their guard or their bigs having to go out to the perimeter and guard. That's why yesterday against Michigan, I thought it would happen, but neither Marez Johnson or Ade Mara play on the perimeter. So that's how Purdue won that game. They took advantage of them offensively because they got Braden Smith. But, yeah, Purdue's probably our daddy come March Madness time. And they've been playing really well. But, hey, we could get hot. We could win this game. There's a chance we win this game. That's delusion talking, though. Don't listen to that. Purdue to the Elite Eight pretty easily. Now, this one. And this is such a tough game to predict. I mean, the spread on this game would be like half a point. It'd be a toss-up, I feel like. But after all my biasism down here, we're going to go with Arkansas. And the reason for that is when you look at this Wisconsin team, yeah, they were one of my favorite teams coming into this. Boyd and Blackwell, I mean, that's just an elite 1-2 punch. They get Winter back. But when you look at teams they've lost to, like BYU, yes, it's in November, so it doesn't really count. But BYU, TCU, Ohio State even, they have athletic 3 and 4 men that can get out on the perimeter and guard, and it makes these bigs for Wisconsin a little bit more uncomfortable if they can't get their shot off cleanly with Winter, Rapp, and if you have a rim protector, it makes it tougher on Boyd and Blackwell if your bigs are not hitting threes. You also look at this, the teams they do beat, like Illinois, Purdue, Michigan, those teams have slower bigs with Mara, now Marez Johnson and company. They beat Michigan because they have better guard play. That's as simple as it is. But when you look at Illinois, who they beat twice, and when you look at Purdue, they've got bigger, heavier-footed bigs that can't get out of the perimeter to contest the shots from Winter and Rapp. But when you look at Arkansas, Darius Akoff and Malik Thomas, it's a good guard duo as well. All right, we're nothing to sneeze at over here. They're still getting you about 37 points a game combined. Only 2 less than Blackwell and Boyd. Not quite. Actually, they're more efficient, which is insane to me. Malik Thomas's 3-point. Why is he not getting talked about more as a first-round pick? Now, 43% from the field, questionable, but 42% from 3. That's fantastic. Akoff at 45%. This dude should be a top 3 pick. 6.5 assists per game as well. Almost leads the country, or leads the conference, I should say. And then they got Brazil. They got Billy Richmond, Malik Ewan. I don't think Carter Knox is going to be playing. That's what sources are saying. Sources, I mean Reddit. He's questionable. I think he's more on the doubtful side. But even without him, DJ Wagner, not a big. But between Nick Pringle, Malik Ewan, Billy Richmond, and Trayvon Brazil, these bigs can get out on the perimeter and guard. And that's not what Wisconsin wants to see. That's why I'm taking Arkansas here. Arizona over Utah State. They might win this game by 20. Utah State strengthens their guards. Arizona has no weakness. Which, again, Arizona will be beating Arkansas here. It'll be a good one. It'll be a really fun one, and Arkansas could win this one. That's why I'm a little bit worried to take Arizona to win it all because, well, they got to play Arkansas. The thing about Arizona, though, is that they have beat athletic bigs as well. Houston, Iowa State, they beat both of those teams twice. And with Joshua Jefferson, Momcilovic, and Buchanan down low. That's what Iowa State has. They can get on the perimeter and guard. They can really guard really anybody. And Houston with Sanak, with Tugler, with all their bigs, they can get on the perimeter and guard. They're versatile, athletic. Arizona's beat all of them. And I mean, we talked about this Arizona team yesterday in the video. This team has 7 starters. Del Orso and Awaka started last year. And they've got great positional height. I mean, Bradley's 6'3", but he's an absolute monster. Plays like he's 6'6". Burries is probably a lottery pick. This team is scary good. And that's why I'm taking him here. Also, I'd rather have Tommy Lloyd than Calipari. Sue me. We can argue about it in the comment section below. And then I'm also going to take Arizona to beat Purdue, who Purdue's been playing well. But let's face it, yes, they won the Big Ten championship. I'm not going to try and take anything away from that. But they played an injured UCLA team. They beat Northwestern. And then they beat Michigan, who peaked way too early. So I'm taking Arizona. We got 2 1 seeds in the Final Four here. Arizona, they're scary good, dude. You got Michigan here. They're going to obviously beat UMBC or Howard, although they could get some PTSD from what Virginia went through. Georgia, St. Louis. This one's interesting. I mean, this Georgia team, a lot of these losses were without Wilkinson because he was out for a little bit, but their guards are so small with Wilkinson and Melander here. They got Blue Kane, of course, but he has not been shooting a good 3-ball this year. He's 31% from 3. Catchings, Melander, and Wilkinson. I might be saying that name wrong, actually. Melander? I don't know. They also got Somtho here, who is a beast on the boards. Jordan Ross. They got a good squad. I mean, I feel like outside of their guards, they have great positional size with Cyril at 6'11". Cannon Catchings at 6'9". I believe he plays like the small forward spot. Blue Kane at 6'5". He's cool. They got Wilkins and Jordan Ross here. But St. Louis is a good team as well. Of course, they started off the year at, 24-0? Or they 24-1 after the loss to Stanford. Put Stanford in the tournament, man. And then they finished the year out 4-4 with losses to Dayton on a buzzer beater. Probably should have lost to George Washington. They lost to George Mason by 30. They lost to Dayton by 15. They lost to Rhode Island by 5. It feels kind of like, yes, this is a very impressive VCU win, but it feels kind of like the blueprint on this team is out. And I have a feeling that Robbie Avila is going to have a really tough time down low against Somto in the paint. They've got good guards with Deion Brown, Trey Green. But, again, when you look at this Georgia team, if they got the bigger guards, they're probably winning the game. Outscored Alabama there. Did lose to Vanderbilt, but beat Texas. They beat Kentucky. And that Kentucky win is very impressive, especially when you consider how much bigger Kentucky is than them. The Oklahoma and Florida loss are interesting. I believe that was while Wilkinson was out. But with this one, I'm going to rock with the favorites that Vegas is rocking with, and we're going to go with Georgia here. St. Louis, I feel like they might have peaked a little bit too early. A-10's a good league. Might be almost as good as the Big East, but I'm going with Georgia out of that one. Then we've got Texas Tech and Akron. And this grouping right here, if I could take the over, like if we could have a collective over on both of these games and then the round of 32 game, I would smoke it. I put my entire life savings on it. And Alabama Hofstra is going to be a shootout. Texas Tech Akron is going to be a shootout. It's going to be a fun little region here. And look, Akron's a good team. This is a very common upset pick here. And the spread's only 7.5. I think it opened at 9.5, so it's coming down a little bit. That over is very juicy. But when you look at Texas Tech, I mean, they're going to have Christian Anderson back, 6'2 guard. Got Donovan Atwell. They got Watts. Watts should be good to go. I think he might have rolled his ankle, but he should be good to go. And yeah, I mean, obviously they're missing their All-American Player of the Year candidate, but this is still a dangerous team, really. Come March, they lost to Iowa State. Anderson got hurt that game. They did lose to BYU, which is a little bit interesting. It was at BYU, though. And then they lost to TCU at home. So not playing great, but I don't think this means they're going to lose to Akron necessarily. So we're going to take Texas Tech. Bama Hofstra. This one is interesting. Somebody needs to make a counter for how many times I've said that. And it's because of this guy. The genius that got caught with marijuana. So we don't know if he's going to play. And honestly, my pick depends. Maybe not, but Hofstra's good. This is a Hofstra team. Cruz Davis is their guy. 20 a night. Preston Edmond as well, another good guard. 16 a night with him. 4.5 assists. They combine for 36-9 a night with about 8 rebounds in there as well. They got a couple of good wings here, although they're both listed as guard. A couple of good wings. Both average about 9 or 10 a game. And then they got Silas Sunday and Victory here, who are both good posts. And they have the Katie. I mean, they've got length on the wing. They've got great guards. And they've got posts. What more could you ask for out of a Cinderella team? They don't score a ton, but I mean, still 76 points per game. They don't shoot a ton of threes, but they shoot it very efficiently from beyond the arc. They also shoot about 44% from the field as a team. This is a group of guys here that I wouldn't be. I mean, their 2 lead guards shoot it at about 39% from 3 combined on 13 attempts a game. Add in German here, and yeah, this is a team that I could really talk myself into beating this Alabama team. And if you look at who they lost to UCF at UCF by 4 points. They lost to Iona. They've played some good non-conference competition. Lost to Temple there. Beat LaSalle, beat Merrimack, beat Penn, who's in the tournament, by 17. They also beat Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh. I didn't know that, honestly. They also beat Syracuse. So, yeah, all right. I've just talked myself into it. Alabama's good, right? Philon's a monster. They got Aiden Sherrill, Amari Allen, Latrell Wrightsell, Millett. But if Holloway's not playing, I don't see why this Hofstra team couldn't win. Yes, Bama's been great. They didn't lose in February. They came all the way back and got ranked. They have one loss, which was to Georgia, and then they beat Auburn. And, yeah, they lost to Ole Miss. That's concerning. But if Holloway plays, I'm probably going to go Bama. But I'm honestly going to say he doesn't play. We're going Hofstra. Hofstra's a team that's beat Power 5 competition. They have everything you need in a Cinderella. They haven't lost in over a month, where they lost to UNC Wilmington, who are they in the same conference? Yeah, they are in the same conference. UNC Wilmington's a good team. But unironically, they're probably bigger than Alabama. So this is a team that they'd probably be a 12 seed if it wasn't for this little stretch of games here where they lost 5 in a row. I like this. I like this Hofstra team. They do get bounced by Texas Tech. I love Texas Tech's shot making. But again, I wouldn't be shocked to see Hofstra in the Sweet 16. Is that crazy? It's probably crazy. But yeah, we're going to go with Texas Tech because of their guards. But I think Hofstra can win a game. What's the spread here? 12.5. Plus 720. If I was 21, I could use that. Michigan, Georgia, we're going Michigan. Although Georgia could pull it. I could talk myself into Georgia pulling this upset if we go back to Georgia here. With Wilkinson, Blue Kane, Catchings, they're just not big enough, I don't think. With only one guy over 6'9", because when you look at Michigan, yeah, they are massive. 6'9", 6'9", 7'3" in the front court. I don't know what you're going to do about that. But I feel like if you look at it, this is kind of where they peaked. Then the loss to Duke happened. They bounced back by beating Minnesota by 10, Illinois by 14, beat Iowa by 3, Michigan State by 10, Ohio State by 4, and Wisconsin by 3 before losing to Purdue. Well, yes, those are all good teams. The LJ Kaysen one hurts them a lot because, yeah, they shoot it well. I mean, they shoot 36% as a team, but they're not even top 100 in three-pointers attempted, which means they don't really lean on it, and they can't really do it. Cadeau shoots 38%, but he's not a guy that, is going to be shooting a high volume. McKinney, 4 attempts a game. Burnett, 4 attempts a game. So they got 3. Kaysen only shot 3 a game, but he played 18 minutes a night. He shot 41% from 3 almost. But with McKinney, Cadeau, Perez is not a three-point shooter. Yaxel, 34%. I think three-point shooting is going to be what kills this Michigan team once they run into a team that's as big as them, which is Georgia is not, and then we just talked about it. If JT Toppin's playing, I'm taking this game to the bank. Unfortunately, nobody returns from ACL injuries in 3 weeks. So we're going with Michigan there. Now, I think SMU wins this game. Has that spread gone down some more? Yeah, it's down to 6.5, which I'm going to be pulling for Miami, Ohio. But I think SMU wins it. The winner of this game is going to be decided by if BJ Edwards plays or not. Because if he doesn't play, then we're going Tennessee, and we're going to say that for now because he is, I think, questionable, and that in my head that means doubtful. Jacoby Gillespie, Nate Ament. SMU doesn't have anybody for Nate Ament. And down low, I mean, Tennessee just bullies people on the glass. So we're going to go with Tennessee there. Virginia, thanks for coming out. Wright State, we'll see you later. Kentucky, Santa Clara. This is kind of interesting, but then again, not really. I don't think Santa Clara has the guard play to pull this one off. They got Sosh here, who kind of was the, where's he at? Oh, his name's Alexander. They call him Sosh. He was kind of their go-to guard. They got Christian Hammond as well, but he was their point guard, and he was kind of running everything when they beat St. Mary's. Hit the big shot, of course. Lost to St. Mary's by 20 earlier. Lost to Gonzaga. I mean, whenever they play somebody, that's a terrible loss. Whenever they play somebody with bigger guards, they lose. Which does not include Arizona State because they do not have bigger guards. And not a bad resume at all by Santa Clara. I'm glad they're in. This should have been a three bid West Coast conference. It was a good conference. But Kentucky with Owe, with Aberdeen, with their length at the guard spot, I don't think Santa Clara can pull this one. Iowa State beats Tennessee State. Shout out Nolan Smith in the tournament again. And then Iowa State over Kentucky. Iowa State played really well in the Big 12 tournament. I mean, Jaden Bradley hits a ridiculous shot, or else they're moving on. I mean, they beat Texas Tech they beat Arizona State by 50. Imagine taking plus 12.5 on that game. Couldn't be me. Texas Tech beat them by 22. Anderson did get hurt. And yeah, they had lost 3 of 4 coming into the tournament, including Texas Tech, who I also bet on to beat them. But I like this team. Jefferson at 6'8" can do a little bit of everything, and then Momcilovic also at 6'8", shoots the cover off the ball. He is shooting 50% from 3 on 7.5 attempts. He should be a lottery pick. I don't know why. I guess because he's a senior, but he's shooting 50% from 3. That's what makes this Iowa State team different than any of these past Iowa State teams that have been good but not great. Like last year, they lost to Ole Miss. Curtis Jones, Keyshawn Gilbert, they were good, but they couldn't really shoot it, right? Their Achilles heel has always been that shooter. They had a couple guys that could shoot it. Other than that, I mean, you've always got a couple of non-shooters on the court. Even back to this team where, yeah, they did make the Sweet 16. But again, I mean, it feels like this year's team is different because they have that sniper that can change the course of a game. In Momcilovic, Blake Buchanan down low at 6'11", and then Torrey and Lipsy. That's a dynamite defensive duo. Plus, you got Jamarian Bateman coming off the bench who can really shoot it as well. 40%, or almost 40% from 3 for him. But again, the three-point shooting does concern me other than these two guys. With that being said, they will not be losing to Kentucky because Kentucky can't score. Kentucky will get shut down in this game, I have a feeling. Although, yes, Kentucky's guards are bigger. Doesn't matter. Tamin Lipsy's a dog. Right here, we're going Virginia over Tennessee because when you look at Tennessee, their strength lies in the fact that they can dominate the paint. As a matter of fact, they look like a team out of like 1970 because they play 6'10", 6'11", 6'8", and sometimes all 4 of these guys at the same time. I think they all start, don't they? No, Estrella does not start, sorry. But Akpara, Ament, and then either Estrella or Carey start. And that's 3 bigs at the same time, and none of them can really shoot. I mean, their leading 3-point shooter is Bishop Boswell on 2 attempts a game. Ament and Gillespie, negative. That's why I said if SMU wins this game and BJ Edwards plays, he can help take Gillespie out of the game, and then SMU can try and they got Toombs and they got Yedigaloo, but I'm still probably going to take Tennessee there. But Virginia's playing really good basketball right now. Lost to Duke, but smoked Miami. Beat State, and State played really well this game. What did State shoot from 3? State shot 11 for 22 from 3 this game. 50%, that's as good as you can ask for, realistically, and we still lost by 8 points because of this dude right here, Ugana Onyenso. Yeah, he's like the best shot blocker in the country, but they've got depth, led by DeRitter at 6'9", who can play inside or out. Massive matchup problem off rip. Malik Thomas, Sam Lewis, Chance Mallory, Jakari White. A 4-headed guard monster. 5-headed if you add in Dallin Hall. Even 6 if you add in Devin Tillis. This team goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 deep. And they're dangerous. This is a team that I don't want to play in March. They can all shoot a little bit. Jakari White at 43% on 5 attempts. That is special. Sam Lewis at 41% on 4.3 attempts. DeRidder can step out and knock it down from time to time. Malik Thomas likes to take threes. Doesn't hit a ton necessarily, but loves to shoot it. Mallory at 35%. Even Grunlow can step it out and knock it down a little bit. Dallin Hall is not shooting a good percentage this year. Tillis is shooting at 38%, but we have seen Dallin Hall in the past shoot it very well from 3. I mean, 36% in his 3 prior seasons. So yeah, let's go ahead and take Virginia to beat Iowa State. I think with, of course, Buchanan transferring from Virginia, that'll be an interesting game. But with Onyenso and Grunlow down low, they can lock down the paint, which is where between Jefferson and then their guards that penetrate a lot, they don't have a lot of outside shooting outside of Momcilovic, so you're going to help off Momcilovic, and then you shut down the paint with Grunlow and Onyenso, and I think that's how Virginia beats this Iowa State team. And then it comes down to Michigan, and again, you might have to go 2 bigs. You might have to throw them both out there at the same time with Grunlow and Onyenso, but I think they can do it. I think they can beat Michigan. I mean, Onyenso average between the two of them, they average 5.2 blocks per game, and Mar is huge. But I like Virginia. I like Virginia in this matchup because of their guard play. DeRidder and Yaxel, okay, obviously he probably can't guard Yaxel great, but size-wise, that's a good matchup. Merez is going to be a problem. Maybe DeRidder goes to Merez. Maybe that's the better matchup. And maybe you have, Grunlow and Mara, and then you try and figure something out with who else you have up here. Maybe Sam Lewis or Tillis on Yaxel, but your guard play is better. I mean, it's not like they've got long athletic guards. Your guard play, give me Malik Thomas and Sam Lewis or Jakari White or whoever else. Give me that over Elliot Cadeau. No offense to Elliot Cadeau, but I like this Virginia team to go to the Final Four. And maybe that's my ACC bias, but this is, in my opinion, the weakest. Especially Texas Tech would be coming out of this 10 times out of 10 if Toppin was played. But in my opinion, this is the weakest bracket here. The bottom half of the bracket is a lot easier to predict than the top half. All right, we finally get down to the last bracket. This is probably the longest video in the history of this channel. Iowa State or Iowa Clemson. I don't know. I've gone back and forth on this one. I might just go with whatever Vegas says because usually Vegas is pretty accurate. Somehow. I don't know how they do it, but they're usually pretty accurate, and that would be going with Iowa. But I do really like Brad Brownell. And again, is this my ACC bias showing through? Maybe. But the ACC is always disrespectful. I mean, I feel like we have consistently the most Elite Eight and Final Four and national champions year after year. Yes, I'll give it to you. Big 12 is best conference in basketball, without a doubt. Big 10 is probably second, and that takes a lot for me to admit because usually I don't like the Big 10, but they're good this year. But I think the ACC is right there with them, and I think Florida State probably even could have got in if they beat Duke. That would have been fun. Talk about an 11 seed to go on a run because they were playing really good basketball. But anyways, I need to stop getting off topic. Now Clemson does lose Welling here, which hurts them, and they don't really have like a leading. Their leading scorer is R.J. Godfrey, averaging 12 points a game. They got Porter averaging about 10. They got Davidson averaging about 9. Buckner averaging about 8. Dylan Hunter averaging about 7. I mean, man, last year should have been their year. But this Clemson team, they don't move me. Like, their best three-point shooter shoots 35%, and this is not like they're great down low. But what they do have going for them is defensively. Brad Brownell is a heck of a defense, and this is an Iowa team, 10-10 in their conference, equally as bad over the last month of the season. I mean, they're 3-7 over their last 10 games. Lost to Ohio State. They beat Maryland. Whoop-de-doo. They beat Ohio State. And then they've also beat Nebraska, but they've lost to Purdue by 30, Wisconsin by 13, Penn State, Michigan, Nebraska again. I mean, they tried to play their way onto the bubble with this Penn State loss. Sturps is great. Tavion Banks. But really, honestly, give me Clemson, dude. Give me Clemson. We're going against Vegas. Give me Clemson. ACC bias showing through. Give me Clemson. If you're an Iowa fan, let's argue down in the comment section below. McNeese and Vandy. Vandy's dangerous. McNeese is good, but Vandy just proved that they are dangerous. Yes, they got beat, but they beat Florida. That gave me a lot of respect for him. Larry Johnson, he's going to end up somewhere big time next year. 17.5 a game with 5.5 boards, 50% from the field. Now, 3-point shooting is questionable, so maybe he actually doesn't end up somewhere big time next year. But Archie, Garcia, and DJ Richards can all shoot the 3-ball. And that's something, when you look at this McNeese State team last year with Will Wade, and they didn't have a post, but they couldn't shoot the 3-ball. They were terrible at shooting the 3-ball, to be honest. Allen Breed got hurt. Forgot about that. Go Wolfpack. Garcia, 35. And then Parker, 30. Shoemate, 31, maybe. DJ Richards, did he play in the tournament? I think he did, but he got shut down. Quadier, 15. I mean, they couldn't shoot the 3 last year. They can shoot it a little bit better this year, but I don't think they beat Vandy. Vandy also has the height-wise down low. Tyler Nichols, a dog. Nebraska-Troy. Now, this Troy team, I turned them on, and I was not moved whatsoever. Ryan Hammer loves this Troy team, coming out of the Fun Belt. But I turned them on. I mean, they got Thomas Dowd, Victor Valdez, 6'8" and 6'7" in their front court, 6'9", I guess. 6'9" and 6'8" in their front court, 14 and 10, 14 and 4, 13. I mean, they score a lot of points, I guess, 80 a game. But I was not moved. The eye test was not good. Kobe Campbell, 41%. The Campbell bros can shoot it. Other than that, 6'2 and 6'2, yeah. Other than that, I don't see this team beating Nebraska. And Nebraska, I was hoping they got matched up with like a Hofstra, maybe a Cal Baptist. That was, oh man, I don't understand. I was watching Cal Baptist at 2:15 in the morning the other night, and that was my underdog. That was my Cinderella. But Nebraska, I'm not closing the door on an upset here because, yeah, they started off the year, like 20-0, and then down the stretch they were 6-6 with a bad loss to Purdue. They did beat Iowa, lost to UCLA. Yes, it's at UCLA, but they lost to UCLA, beat Southern Cal, beat Maryland, beat Penn State. I lost to Iowa. Like, this team was not good down the stretch whatsoever. So, if you want to take Troy, I think the weakness for Nebraska, though, is getting into the interior and scoring. Because Mast is 6'9". That's their tallest guy. They got Burke as well. But for them, they shoot a lot of threes, first off. 24th in three-pointers made, 14th in three-pointers attempted. They shoot a ton of threes. And they don't necessarily take a ton of twos, but if they can, it makes it a lot easier to shoot those threes if you can get into the interior and score. That's why I'm going Nebraska. VCU, Carolina. Carolina, man, they limped into March. VCU, I mean, I want to look into this a little bit more, but VCU, man, Phil Martelli Jr., this is a school that pumps out Power 5 coaches. Phil Martelli, the next one. They got Terrence Hill at 6'3". He honestly looks a little bit shorter than 6'3". Tracy's listed about 6'6" on some sites, 6'5" here. Laser Djokovic. This is a team that they played State. Where's that State game? They played State to a 6-point game. In Raleigh, I was sitting front row for that game as well. And these dudes come on the court, and I'm like, oh, boy, we are in trouble. Because they were bigger than us. Between Djokovic, Michael Bell at 6'7", Barry Evans at 6'8". They got 6 guys averaging over 7 a game. Throw in Ward, another 6'6" wing, who was a big-time recruit back in the day. They got Nick Lewis somehow to come to VCU. Shout out Phil Martelli. But this team, 14.5 a game for Terrence Hill, 14 a game for Laser Djokovic. Jadrian Tracy coming over from Oregon. I think he averaged more last year at Oregon than he did this year. Never mind. But he was good for Oregon down the stretch. 36% from 3 for Terrence Hill, 36 for Djokovic, 38 for Tracy, 43 for Brandon Jennings on 1.6 attempts, questionable. 35 for Nick Lewis. Not a ton of high volume 3-point shooters, but they can also crash the glass and destroy people down low. Vesar, he's going to have his work cut out for him because Djokovic is 6'10", and he can move out on the perimeter as well. For UNC, it's going to be tough. Obviously, if they had Wilson, I'd be, as a State fan, as tough as it is to admit this, I'd be all over them if they had Caleb Wilson. But with Vesar, Trimble, Bogovats, Jaron Stevenson, Derek Dixon. I mean, they're big. They can beat people up on the glass, but I don't know. I don't think this team beats VCU. What's the spread? It's pretty close, actually. It's 2.5. VCU is coming into this game almost as the favorite. Vasar, other than Vasar, nobody shoots it that great from three. Derek Dixon, 40%, 4 attempts, solid. Bogovats, Nobody on this team really moves me for Carolina. That's why I'm going VCU. Maybe this is some more bias, but VCU, I mean, I think the 11 seeds are like 500 straight up against 6 seeds, and we have that. Actually, we're going with 3 11s, and it wouldn't even shock me if all 4 11s won here. That's the new 5-12. Everybody talks about the 5-12. It's really the 6-11. Illinois Penn, shout out TJ Power, 44 ball, but they're not beating Illinois. St. Mary's, Texas A&M. This is actually a really interesting one because it's a complete contrast of styles. So St. Mary's is big. They didn't lose in February. They lost to Santa Clara. And it was because their bigs got out on the perimeter, were involved in pick and rolls, and kind of got exposed. But, I mean, they got Morauskas at 6'8". Mikey Lewis is a dog at 6'3". Dent's pretty good as well. McKeever and Wells is at 7'1". They also have Dylan Shaw at 6'7". I like this St. Mary's team. Texas A&M lost 7 of their last 11 coming into this. They got AG, I don't even know how to say their name. I haven't watched enough Texas Tech, to be honest. But I do know that if Marcus Hill is your third leading scorer, and this guy was not great last year. Actually, he was all right, but State was not great last year, I should say. He doesn't really fit the style either. He can't shoot. They got Clements at 6'10", but Pop Isaacs, Dominguez, Hill, Griffin, and I don't know why Marcus Hill is listed at 6'4". I swear I'm as tall as this dude. He showed up in Carmichael a couple times. I'm as tall as this dude. Rylan Griffin's good, but this is a Texas A&M team that down the stretch did not beat anybody. They beat Kentucky. I take that back. They beat Kentucky. But yeah, I'm not moved by this Texas A&M team. It's 3.5. I wouldn't be surprised if A&M wins, but I'm going with St. Mary's. They got the best guard. They got the best player in Morauskas. I'm going with St. Mary's here. If they do lose, it'll be because their bigs were out on the perimeter and they got exposed in the pick and roll. Houston, thanks to Idaho for coming out. They beat Money Williams, my boy, in the Big West, Big Sky Conference Championship. Another one of those. I was up at like 1 a.m. watching. I had a test the next day, but it's all right. Houston beat St. Mary's for the exact reason we just talked about. They can match them with size, and they're going to get their bigs out on the perimeter in the pick and roll with Kingston Flemings, and they're going to get exposed. Houston there. VCU, Illinois. This is another fun one, but I'm big time on this Illinois team because they're led by a lottery pick, which is always great, in Keaton Wagler. 18 a game with 5 boards, 4 assists. They got Mirkovic here, 6'9", averaging about 13 and 8 a game. Andrei Stojakovic averaging about 13 and 5. Kylan Boswell is back, playing well. They got both the Ivisic brothers at 7'1" and 7'2" respectively. Hummerhouse, this is a big squad. These are some big dudes. And pause. And they can also shoot. I mean, Wagler at 40%. I don't know what happened to Stojakovic. His draft stock fell off a cliff. But Mirkovic at 37. Boswell, not great. He's been in and out of the lineup, though, kind of. So maybe that has something to do with it. Ivisic, they can both step out and knock it down. Not a great percentage-wise, though. Hummerhouse, 35. Who's Jake Davis, 41. He's been shooting a cover off of it. So I'm going to go with Illinois over VCU there. They're bigger. And that's just going to be a tough one for VCU to navigate with their smaller guards compared to Illinois. Not smaller guards compared to UNC, but, I mean, Illinois, different animal than UNC there. This one's we're coming back to that one. Florida over Clemson. Whoever wins this game is getting bullied because Florida is now very upset. They got embarrassed by Vandy. Vandy's also going to beat Nebraska. Nebraska, we talked about it. If there's no rim protection, then they're solid. But there's Jalen Washington here. And maybe they do beat this team. Maybe they do. But they got McLaughlin, Okereke, Tyler Nickel, all 6'7" on the wing. Duke Miles, Tyler Tanner, a couple of really good guards. Duke Miles missed some time in here. That's why you see all these losses. And Vanderbilt's looking good coming into this tournament. Beat Tennessee again. Beat Florida. Lost to Arkansas with their, Arkansas is really good. But I do take them to beat Nebraska, and then I got Florida. Florida's good, man. Florida's really good. They were my champion coming in. They kind of got exposed against Vandy because if their guards aren't on, then what happens? Like, if Flan and Lee aren't on, then Hauk and, Condon averages 15 a game, but they can't create enough offense to keep you floating, right? And that only applies when you're playing, I feel like, Duke and Arizona come tournament time. So they're still a team that could definitely win it, but I don't think they beat Duke or Arizona. Spoiler alert. I actually went to the Duke-Florida game and saw it, and I was convinced that Florida would win that game straight up on a neutral site until recently, until that Vandy game. And you might be like, well, why would they not beat them again? They just destroyed them. Vandy shot insanely well this game. They were also at home. The SEC tournament is in Nashville. They shot 10 for 21 from three. And that's with Nickel going 1 for 6. So everybody on this team shot the cover off of it. They also were 55% from the field, 59% from two-point range, which doesn't happen against Florida. And Florida was 5 for 17 from three and couldn't really get it going from the field. And that includes Lee, who was 2 for 8, and Fland, who he was all right, 5 for 9. It wasn't great, but I think Florida gets their get back here. And then this one's so tough. This one is so tough. I mean, the top 16 teams in this tournament are dangerous. And then after that, it gets questionable. But the top 16 teams in this tournament are nasty. The winner here, of course, advances to play Florida. And for now, I'm going to go with Houston. Because I think when you ask your bigs, when Illinois asks their bigs to get out on the perimeter and guard, that's when we find issues. We got a great lottery head-to-head between Wagler and Kingston Flemings, but when Houston's bigs, like, for example, Houston's losses are Arizona, Kansas, at Kansas, which, all right, Arizona again, Iowa State, at Iowa State. So they've lost in two of the toughest environments to play in Hilton and Fog Allen. They lost to Iowa State, or they lost to Texas Tech, with JT Toppin. And then they lost to Arizona twice. That's their losses. Now, have they beat anybody? I mean, they got Kansas back, beat BYU. Their best win, is a little bit concerning. They had some wins back here, beat Notre Dame, Syracuse, whatever, 2 bottom-tier teams in the ACC. But this Houston team, I really, 3 good guards when it comes down to it in March. Experienced guards as well. I mean, these two just played in the national championship. He kind of sold the national championship last year, but he just played in it. Chris Sinak, JoJo Tugler, 6'7", really? Anyway, they also got Sacco, who's been playing more and more as of late. Harwell, Chase McCarty, Mercy Miller, the younger guys here that are coming on, 2 sophomores and a freshman. So, yeah, they can go 9 deep, and I don't hate Houston whatsoever. I mean, you got Fleming shooting it at 39%, doesn't take a lot. Sharp at 37, Uzan at 35, that's all right. Sinak can space the floor. Mercy Miller can space it a little bit. McCarty can space it a little bit. I'm going to take Houston here over Illinois. Illinois is good. It's a toss-up for me. But I am going to take Florida to beat Houston. We just talked about it. Who's Houston's best win? And I don't want to make it like that, but realistically, who's Houston's best win? And then they had to play Arizona, who's bigger than them, between Mo Krivas, Karchenkov, Tobe Awaka, and Koa Pete. They're bigger than Houston, and they beat them up. They beat them up down low. That's what Florida's going to do. Florida doesn't have the better guards, which is what it comes down to a lot in March. But in a rematch of last year, I'm going to go with the same result. I'm going to go with Florida, which brings us to 3 1 seeds and a 3 seed. That's perfect. I think the happy medium for 1 seeds, especially in this tournament, when in the NIL age, you need at least 2 1 seeds, probably 3. Michigan, I feel like, kind of showed their flaw the other day in the Big Ten tournament. But I like Duke, I like Florida, I like Arizona a lot. We took Virginia here. Again, if Wisconsin or Arkansas was in this bracket, it'd be them. If Toppin was playing, it'd be Texas Tech. You get Virginia. That's what you get. Arizona's going to beat Virginia because Arizona's got better guards, one, which Virginia has had better guards in every game they've played in this tournament so far. Now they don't. And Arizona can beat you up down low because Mo Krivas is a little bit different than Blake Buchanan, or I guess not Ade Mara necessarily, or Morez Johnson, but Arizona's guards are that much better than Michigan's guards. And then Duke, Florida, again, I've seen this matchup take place. And it was before Xavier Lee started playing well, but 2 before Dame Sarr started taking the other team's point guard out of the game. You take Boogie Flan out of the game, you make Xavier Lee beat you, you have the front court. Again, this is if Ngogba plays, and potentially could be getting Caleb Foster back. So if